Today we got the finale to Atomgrad with Raid Episode 4. And at this point, I've actually already beat the raid twice. I beat it on regular difficulty and veteran difficulty. And because of this, I got a pretty good feel for this raid, so I think I can tell you guys if it's a good raid or not, or if I recommend you guys playing it or not. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that this is a finale, and people have been theorizing that maybe isn't the finale to raids as a whole, but it's just Atomgrad, and the next season we're going to have a new episode to something else. But I don't think it's very likely because there's only like 1 or 2 seasons left, and I just don't think they're going to change it up. So because of that, I will be judging this as a finale. And with that said, let's not waste any more time and start with the most important thing, that of course being gameplay. And do we have a interesting one to start off with, because the first step of this freaking raid literally has one of the players, whoever spawned in as Farah, just play blindfolded. Yep, that's a thing. That's a thing in this game. You play blindfolded, and imagine the first time you spawn into this, that's you. You're the one blindfolded, and you have no idea about anything. Like, yeah, that was me, in other words. But the idea of this is that the other 2 players have to guide this blindfolded player across a couple rooms, and they have to dodge trip mines, not get caught by a bot, and also make a little jump. And that's pretty much what you have to do. And to be fair, on paper, that don't sound bad. In fact, that sounds great. But in practice, oh my gosh, it is the worst, especially if you're the blindfolded player and your teammates are just constantly yelling at you, saying, no, go that way. No, you're the other way. You're going the wrong way. No, I just told you not to go the other way. No, you're going too far. You're going too fast. What are you doing? Like, immediately, that's how it starts. Your teammates yelling at you. And honestly, that's not normally a big problem, but it should happen later in the game, right? Your teammates could yell at you later, but not right away, especially when you're so confused, especially if it's the first time you played it and you have no idea how this area looks. Like, playing it back another time after you have an idea of how the pathing is, that's not as bad, but it's still not great either. But my gosh, was it the worst experience ever doing it for the very first time, being the blindfolded person. Now, of course, there's ways to cheese this, as you may see in my gameplay. I kind of cheesed it. As you can see, we were sharing screens in the top left corner, so a little bit of cheesing can be done, and I do recommend it if you have a team that's all playing on the same platform, or at least could do it through Discord or something like that. But for the next step that's worth bringing up has to be the laser step, and it's just pretty much don't touch the lasers. And this step is rather good or bad based on the difficulty, because on the regular difficulty, it's a blast. I have a ton of fun with it. I mean, it's dodge the lasers, and even if you do run into the lasers, the respawn point or the checkpoint isn't that far back all the time. So I do like that. It's a good fun, and you control your teammates without having to worry about too much of a repercussions, right? But overall, I do like it. But as for the veteran difficulty, on the other hand, though, I don't get this. So if you're thinking, obviously, the veteran difficulty has to be more difficult. So yeah, add more lasers and make their pathing not as obvious, right? That works. That's cool. Okay, that's enough. But why, Infinity Ward, did you decide to also put a bunch of proximity mines scattered throughout this area that also, if you trigger, give you a game over too? Like, you can't shoot these from a distance and then say, oh, I'm safe. No, if you do that, that's a game over too. So yeah, like, what are we doing here? Like, it's so much of a pain, I swear. It's something else for sure. That's all I can really say about the veteran difficulty of this. But after that, we also have another really cool step, at least from my perspective, because I actually only done this from one side both times I played. Because how the step works is that 2 players have to run into this maze-like area, and the other player gets to watch them over through a live map that gives their live locations. But on top of that, there's a bunch of enemies marked on this map too. You may think, okay, that's not the big of a deal, just tell them to kill. Well, no, actually, because all those enemies are juggernauts. So your goal is to guide your teammates through this area without getting caught by a juggernaut. And where you have to guide them to is first to an HVT that they have to kill and take his key card. And after they take this key card, you then have to guide them to a waypoint that they get the nuke from. And then once they get the nuke, you have to guide them back to you without them getting caught by a juggernaut. And to me, I found this to be good fun. I mean, I don't know how it is from the perspective of dealing with the juggernauts actually. I mean, from my perspective, it was fun, but I'm sure it wasn't that bad for them either. So overall, this is a cool creative step, definitely the most creative step out of all of them inside this raid. But then we have to talk about the ending to this raid, and as you can tell from my voice, not impressed. So how this step goes is that you have to beat an elevator to the top by running up a zip line and going upstairs and just beating it to the top. Like that's the idea. Of course, you have to deal with bots and stuff on the way there, but it's really not that big of a deal even on veteran difficulty. But then from there, all you have to do is just break the elevator and let it fall, and then you have to make your way back all the way down to the bottom, which you could easily cheese just by killing yourself and jumping off, and you're just automatically down there. So don't waste your time actually running all the way back down. But once you're there, you're at the final step, and say it with me, what do we get? An onslaught of juggernauts. A very unique idea, never seen before. It's just something that is so creative. I am shocked every single time I see something creative done by Infinity Ward, and an onslaught of juggernauts has never been done before, except in almost every other raid in this game. So, but if you just discount that, I'm sure there's not that many other onslaughts of juggernauts out there. But yeah, as you can tell, like, I just was really hoping for something more for the finale to this, because this is the finale to Adamgrad, and I was hoping, you know, maybe for a boss fight or something like that, and we just didn't get that. And it sucks because with the first few raids, you saw that they were taking more and more steps to being better and adding cool new ideas in. But with this final raid, it just kind of felt like we stopped after raid 2 or 3, you know. It just felt like we weren't doing anything unique anymore, just more of the same. And especially for it being a finale, I kind of wanted a grand, crazy gameplay ending like we see in all the other raid games out there, but unfortunately we just got another onslaught of juggernauts. Now, one thing I do want to mention is actually my favorite thing about this raid as a whole, and that's actually, believe it or not, the camo you unlock for completing the raid on veteran difficulty. I mean, just look at this thing. Like, it looks so freaking cool. That's probably one of the best camos in the game, so that's really cool and already something that I really recommend you guys going for. But now I want to touch on the story, and obviously major spoilers here, so if you don't want to hear them, skip past this. There is timestamps that you could easily use to when I'm giving my final rating. But my thoughts about this story really hasn't changed from my overall thoughts of the story throughout this entire raid. It just feels like a glorified post-credit scenes. Like, it's just a glorified post-credit scenes for the campaign, and I just don't think that's very cool, because I think raid should have their own unique story with their own unique characters, their own unique conflicts, and their own unique endings. Because by the end of this, all that happened is that Hadir warned us about the real Russians, and who's the real Russian? I wonder who that it's Makarov. Like, it's Makarov, right? Like, but the problem is that would have been cool, like, normally, but we already had an actual post-credit scene after the actual campaign telling us about Makarov and showing us Makarov already, so it's not as cool, you know. It's just not the same. So I don't know, man. I just wish that the story was a bit more unique and tied just to raids, and they could just do something crazy and cool that doesn't have to be tied to a realistic campaign, you know? But this, of course, brings us to my final thoughts. What do I think about this raid? What do I rate it out of 10, and do I recommend it? Well, if I had to give it a rating, I'd probably give it like a 6 out of 10, to be honest, and it's really for all the reasons I said. I mean, the first step is the worst, the final step is more of the same, and even the 2 steps I did like, I mean, like, they weren't really that crazy or unique, to be completely honest. And that's why I really go with a 6 out of 10, and also the fact that this was a finale and didn't really feel like it in terms of gameplay, that's also going to bring it down too. But would I recommend this? Well, I'd recommend it if you really want that camo, because that camo is sick, honestly. Like, that camo is so cool. So if you want to get that camo, like, which I do recommend, I would run through this raid. Of course, you have to be it on regular difficulty first, then beat it on veteran difficulty. So you have to beat it twice, unfortunately, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. Just get 2 teammates and run it through and get that camo, because that camo's definitely worth it. But that's going to wrap it up for me. But I also love to hear what you guys think about this raid. Do you guys agree with me that it's pretty underwhelming, or do you guys actually like that? Let me know down in the comment section below. Let me hear all of your opinions. I love reading through them. Regardless, though, that's going to wrap it up for me. If you guys did enjoy the video, definitely do all the normal YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, bell, share, or any of that great stuff. But I'm going to go catch you guys next stream, video, or whatever the heck it may be. And, laters, guys.